Hi guys, compliments of the season. We're just going to be doing this. Like it? Let's get to it. Let's bring in the Fusion Comp as is our custom. It's under Effects, and Fusion Comp. Click on it, right click on it and open it in Fusion page. Let's make some space. Bring in a text plus node. Drag that to the viewer. Let's type text. Let's just type resolve. Let's change the font to Bebas. Let's increase the size of the font to 0.25. Yeah, big and bold. Let's change the color to perhaps blue. Sky bluish. Okay. The next thing we do, bring in Shift Spacebar, bring in a directional blur. Drag that to the viewer. Change the type of the directional blur under inspector to zoom. Then the length of this zoom, drag it to minus, let's just enter a value, let's say minus 0.7. So we have this. It doesn't look so cool. But now let's click on an empty part of the node grid, Shift Spacebar, bring in BItmap node. Connect the directional blur to the BItmap node. Drag the BItmap node to the viewer. Change the channel on the BItmap node under inspector to luminance and drag this high end down here. So we have something like that. So we have this. Then we now bring in a background node. Let's give the background node a kind of purpley reddish kind of color, something like this. Click OK. Connect this bitmap node to the mask input of this background. Bring in a merge node. Connect this background to the background of this merge and connect this text to the foreground of this merge. If I drag this merge to the viewer, so we have this 3D looking text thing. If I now go to directional blur, I can go to the Y value. If I increase it to C, we have that. So we have this kind of extrusion 3D, but it doesn't move in 3D. It's still in 2D space, but we just create illusion and all that. And then you can also animate this length. So if I click on the length, I can just animate it like so. If you drag it forward, you see it has this weird effect, but if you just drag it backwards, you have this. You can always type maybe -3 here. So it goes almost to infinity. You can just drag it in like so. So you can animate this. Let's even try that. Let's move. But before we do that, let's go back to directional blur. There are other things you can do. Look at this angle. I can turn like so. So you can do a bunch of interesting things on this implementation of 3D that is not really 3D, but let's say neo 3D. Okay, double click on angle, but that's the angle and length and center are things you could focus on to change things. Now let's even try to move this text. Let me drag this down so it's kind of long. Let's make it -3. Okay, now let's go to frame 10. Let's drag text to the back a bit. Text node highlighted. Click on the transform node. So it's automatically added after the text. Now for the transform node, we are on frame 10, right? How do I use frame 10? From here and then also from here. I click on size. I go to directional blur. I keyframe length. So I've keyframed size on transform and length on directional blur. Now we go to frame 0 and drag size on transform down to 0. We go to the directional blur and make the length also here 0. Then we go to frame 20 and make the length again 0. So the length increases as it gets to frame 10, then reduces as it gets to frame 20. I can select both of these nodes, go to spline editor, select both items, click on zoom to fit, click on this to select all the keyframes and press this button here to smoothen all the keyframes. I can close spline editor. And then if I go to the beginning here and I play it back, see we have this. But you see it's not coming from It's not zooming in from this top part. So what I'm going to do is go to this transform. It's a value called pivot. So I'm going to move this up a bit. So you can see this X thing moving here. So I'll move it up. So it's somewhere around here. So if we play this back now, it's a bit better. Okay, so I can still move this up a bit more. And let's go back and play it back. So that's it. That's it for the movement here, but that's how you implement this on the first instance. There's another way to do this 3D looking thing. Let's bring in sheets. Let's bring in a duplicate node and connect this transform to the duplicate node. Let's increase the copies here to 50. Now the duplicate node is more intensive on the system, so your system might slow down depending on the configuration of the system. Then the time offset, we can make it minus 0.1. Right, so if you go to gain, you can just drop this to 0.8, and then I can bring in a merge node, connect this duplicate to the background of this merge node, and connect this transform again to the foreground. And if I drag this to the viewer, instead of connecting this duplicate directly to the merge node, because I want it to have a different color, I simply just bring in the bitmap node, shift space bitmap, and then I bring in a background node. I connect this bitmap to the background node. I connect the duplicate to this bitmap. Let's drag the bitmap to the viewer. So we have this. Let's go to where it's moving. We have that. Now for this background, I can give it a different color, much like the color I gave the other one, something pinkish. Click there, click OK. I can connect this now to the foreground here. So we see we have, now drag this to the viewer. So we have this. It looks pretty cool. Let's connect the text directly to duplicate, for example, and then connect the text directly to merge. I can go to duplicate now, center, and move it up. So you see we have this. We have this nice. I can make the size reduce a bit, so it kind of tailors down here. So we can create something like this, and that's how this works. I can increase the gain, so you see just have this going like so. So that's how you can create this kind of 3D effect here. Now there are two nodes built into Fusion that create something close to this. If we bring in motion trails, and let's click on node grid again and bring in trails, they kind of create what we want. Let's put these two down here. Let's drag this up a bit. Let's connect this transform to both of them. Now for the motion trails, let's drag that to the viewer. And if we play this back, you'll see that it doesn't look so tight. All that, see that movement there? This is not really cool. And if we go under inspector, under motion trails, there is really not much to do. If I increase the trail length, it just increases the length. It doesn't reduce the distance or the interpolation between the text generated. If we go under advanced options, nothing much here to change. Move trail, nothing much here to change either. But moving to trails, trails looks kind of like what we want, but not quite. If I go to trails now, for any change you make in trails, you need to click on restart and click on pre-roll. By default, if I just play it back, you see we have this not so cool. So I'm going to go to the first frame, go to gain and drop this to, let's say 0.9. And then we go to, let's see what else do we change here. Let's go to alpha gain. Let's drop this to 0.92. And so if we play this back, let's go to click on restart, pre-roll and play. We have, it's kind of neat, but the distance, you can see the text separated when it comes in. That's not what we want. We want it to be a streak. That's it about motion trails and trail. But there's a tool in Reactor that kind of helps with all of this. Everything is built in and it kind of works neatly. And it's called Echo. To install Reactor, I'm going to put a link in the description. You can see the card up there to the video where you can actually install Reactor. Then you can install the tool from within Reactor. The tool is Echo. If I click on and add that and I connect this transform to Echo and I drag this to the viewer, by default, you see it almost looks like what we've got for trails. But here's the rub of it. If I now increase the echo frames to 10, then the subframes, we can increase that to 10. Then as you see, it starts getting very interesting. Then we can drag this echo gain. Let's just reduce it even completely. Then we go to gamma gain, increase that to 4. Then you start seeing that it kind of fades in, right? And then let's go and play it back. And you'll see that it just looks beautiful. At the first time it plays, kind of jerky, but then you see the smooth motion. So you play that back. That's it, guys. That's just it for this tutorial. I just wanted to share this particular trick that I got for text, and I hope it helps someone out there. Merry Christmas again, and see you on the next one. Cheers.